Hello and welcome to the Experience Podcast. I am a multi-dimensional spiritual being having a human experience. My name is Neil, and joining me today is a very special human, a person blessed to be here right now.
My name is Dennis, and today we are going to be talking about where depression comes from. And I just recently had this revelation that in the past like things that I've looked at when I've been depressed, I realized that depression came from a place of powerlessness, where I didn't feel fully in my power, and I felt when I was depressed, I felt very not in my power, not walking the walk that I felt that I could be, but I wasn't.
Sure. And what brought about this realization for you?
Well, basically, like, it's the things that have been going on in the world, like looking at those things and then kind of working on myself to not be brought down from those things. And in the past, so when I was 19, I got my first laptop, and I remember spending, and this was still when I was still living with my parents at this time, and I didn't have any internet except through my phone. So I would tether up my laptop and I would stay up at night researching things like conspiracies and things that nobody was talking at the time, like the Rothschild family, UFOs, aliens.
What sparked your interest in that type of thing?
Well, so initially when I was 17, or actually this was right around the same time when I was 19, I started reading books, and I realized that everything I had been taught, or at least most of it, was either incorrect or not accurate information. And so I started questioning everything, and it led me to this path of seeking information that the general public wasn't really, or at least I felt like the general public wasn't asking at the time, but I think a lot more people were than I realized. So, and at the time, I started looking at like the Rothschild family, the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all these families that have huge amounts of wealth. And it created in me this feeling of powerlessness, which in return led to a feeling of depression and helplessness at that point. And I know we've talked many, many times about depression is also a lack of self-expression. So, and it goes hand in hand with helpless, or a feeling of helplessness and powerlessness, because at that time I didn't have a way of expressing myself, and
Of course
the things
you did.
and the information I did, but I didn't know how to do it. I had all this information that I was receiving, that I was intaking, but I didn't know how to share it, or I didn't know and what to do with it, or how to cope with the information that I was getting.
So what's the solution looking back at your old self and your future self talking to your 19-year-old self? What does he tell your 19-year-old self for a solution with what to do with that information?
And I am very glad that you brought that up, because I was literally just thinking about that before we started this podcast, about tools that I have, or things that I've done, and habits that I've created. And I know we've talked about this on previous podcasts, but I think it's worth repeating again. It's things such as meditating, eating, having a good diet, exercise, martial arts.
So what exactly would you tell your 19-year-old self? Like, what specifically would you tell him?
If I would go back in time,
Yes, sir.
there's a lot of things that I would tell myself.
So what would you tell them about the information received and what to do with it?
That I was giving these people way too much fucking credit. And I was allowing them to, by giving my attention to them,
So just talk directly to your 19-year-old self.
all right. So I'm gonna talk to my 19-year-old self. All right. So
You want to make sure he's got that for the future.
right. Dennis, you need to get out of all debt. You need to train martial arts. You need to train your mental and your spiritual and your physical as much as you can. You need to choose a career path where you stand in your power and you don't have other people breathing down your neck and taking that power away from you. And you need to put yourself in a place in the world to where you can thrive in a emotional, physical, spiritual aspect, in all three of those.
How come not just one?
Because that's not thriving. And I know that I know that me, and I know that anybody that's watching this video, we weren't born just to fucking survive. We were born to thrive.
So with like the emotions and this depression coming from like powerlessness, but also from lack of self-expression, I have written here some powerless emotions that go directly with this feeling of powerlessness. And I want to present them to you as well as to the viewer. And I also want to present after that empowering emotions, and emotions that when we feel them and when we really allow ourselves to embrace these, that we feel empowered.
Sure.
So some examples of powerless emotions would be acceptance. And this is powerless. So you feel less powerful when you are feeling these emotions. So acceptance, acquiescence, anticipation, expectation, sadness, fear, fatalism, pessimism, resignation, anxiety, submissiveness, and shame. Those are examples of powerless emotions. So with that, and I want to just bring up that like I feel those emotions, and it's not something that you can just necessarily choose to always feel empowering emotions, because throughout the day, things will come up and you'll feel maybe anticipation, like you'll feel like you're accepting something rather than taking the initiative and changing it and not accepting it. Or you'll feel maybe some pessimism or a feeling of fatalism, like I'm gonna die, like, oh crap. And you'll feel like, and I feel these feelings, and it's not about like just completely shutting them out, but what it's about is not dwelling there. And yes, like feeling these feelings and then knowing that emotions are energy in motion, so you can feel them and then choose to consciously just let them go, and they will continue on their merry way to wherever they go. And the cool part about that is then they're on their merry way out of you. They're not staying in you because you're not attaching and holding on to them. You're letting them go. And when you do that, you open up space for these empowering emotions that I'm going to present right now.
Before you share those,
Yes,
I would
sir.
like to ask you one question. And I know we've talked about this on previous episodes too, but for anybody that's watching this video, and this may be the first time that you're watching this video, did you just say that, or did I hear correctly, that we are not our emotions?
Yes, you did hear that correctly. This is it's a realization that I had doing like cold shock therapy in the shower. And I do this on a daily basis. So like I'll take a warm shower, and after my warm shower is finished, I'll turn it all the way to cold and fully immerse myself in the cold and feel it, turn around in it, let it go over my hair, like really immerse yourselves in this cold. And doing that one day, it came up like I was feeling this cold, and my thoughts were saying, get the fuck out of the cold, like get out of the shower, turn it to warm. That's what my thoughts were saying. And then my spirit goes, well, I'm not my thoughts. So I was able to stay in there in the water, even though my thoughts were saying, turn it to warm, get a towel, get out of the shower. That's what my thoughts were saying. But I had this realization that I'm not my thoughts. So I was able to stay in there. And I was like, okay, well, what am I? And I was like, my emotions were like going haywire. Like I was feeling like I got to get out now. Like I got to move. Like I'm freezing. And I was like, well, right, but I'm still in here. I'm still in the cold. My spirit's keeping me here. And so I'm not my emotions either. So I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my emotions. And I was like, now it's still in the cold, but I still didn't know what I was. And I go, well, what am I? I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my emotions. I was feeling this cold on my body, and I go, well, I'm not my body either, because it's cold and like I'm in here, but my spirit is like, even though my body wants to leave, my spirit is saying, you're staying. And so I'm not my body either. So like, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions, because my emotions, everything in my emotional feeling body is telling me to get out of the cold. And same way with my body. So I'm not my body. And then I just ask myself again, like, what am I? And like this, it just came to me that I'm the awareness. I'm the awareness of my thoughts. I'm the awareness of my emotions. I'm the awareness of my body. Like I am the all-encompassing awareness of those things. I'm just the pure awareness of this process that's happening. Because your body is not a single thing. It's a process. So many things.
Sure. So that habit that you just shared about using the warm shower and then turning it to cold, is that a habit that anybody that's listening here, is that something that they can do themselves that will create if they feel powerless or if they feel depressed, is that something that they can do to feel more powerful?
There's a right way to say this, and the answer is abso-fucking-lutely. And the reason for that is because cold shock therapy and really any cold therapy, it's been like literally scientifically proven that it releases endorphins in your brain, and it actually improves your circulation because it increases blood flow, and it increases blood flow to get more blood to your muscles to warm them up. So it's increasing your blood flow, you get more blood to your extremities. And also with increased blood flow, you get increased cognition function because you have increased blood to your brain. So there's many, many benefits to cold therapy. So yes, I highly recommend that you, the viewer, try this out for yourself. And I want to get right into these empowering emotions right now, beginning with gratitude and hunger. Hunger is not only when you feel hungry because of lack of food, but it's hungry because you want to make something happen. You're hungry. You're going to be there every day because you've got this hunger. So hunger, passion, love and warmth, curiosity, flexibility, confidence, cheerfulness, vitality, and sense of contribution. Those are empowering emotions.
So those empowering emotions, are those on a scale of higher emotions as far as, do you have those?
They're not on a scale.
Okay.
They're just, those are some empowering emotions.
Okay.
There's many more. Those are some.
Sure.
So Deepak Chopra wrote a book by the name of The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, and I recommend that you read this book. And he describes gratitude as an immensely powerful force that we can use to expand our happiness, create loving relationships, and even improve our health. And Tony Robbins says that when you're grateful, fear disappears and abundance appears.
So remember to always be grateful, and let's go make some snow angels today in our swim trunks. Peace.